أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So we're going to jump right in with one of the most abrupt and honestly powerful verses in the entire Quran. It doesn't ease you in, does it? It just hits you. It confronts you with this massive cosmic event. I mean, talk about setting a dramatic scene.
And you know what? That feeling of confrontation, it's completely by design. So in this explainer, we're going to dive right into that moment of divine confrontation. And yeah, it's a moment that happened in history for sure, but it's also a moment that happens right inside each of us. We're going to explore how this huge cosmic event can actually be a mirror for our own inner journey. So, let's get into it.
All right, first things first, let's look at the outer miracle that was denied, the story in the sky.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, because this right here, this frames our entire conversation. See, the splitting of the moon, it's not just some story from the past. It's this perfect metaphor for a really deep, personal, psychological process. What happens outside this miracle in the sky, it's a mirror for a rupture inside the self. A sign is revealed out there, and our certainty gets broken in here. This is the core idea we're going to unpack.
So the story goes something like this. The Quraysh in Mecca, they challenged the Prophet. They said, "Show us a sign." And wow, in response, the moon literally appeared to be split in two. And it wasn't just them. Later on, travelers coming into the city confirmed it. They saw it too. But what was the reaction right there on the ground? Was it awe, belief? Nope. It was immediate denial. This is just some persistent magic. Think about that. They saw the sign, but they completely refused to see what it meant.
Okay, now let's shift gears from the outer event to the inner awakening. This is where the Sufi tradition really unveils this incredible, profound map of the soul's journey, and it's hidden right inside these verses.
So the masters of the path, they looked at this and they saw a clear four-step process for a spiritual awakening. It's basically a roadmap. It starts with this fracture of illusion. Then comes the reflex of denial. After that, you have to deal with the gravity of your own desires, your old ways. And finally, it ends with an unveiling that you just can't avoid anymore. So let's break these down one by one.
All right, first stage. Here's the key idea from Najm al-Din Kubra. The splitting of the moon is the rupture of the nafs so that the light of the spirit may appear. So that first stage, the fracture, it's not a disaster. It's actually a necessary breaking. Think about it. The moon only reflects light, right? It doesn't have any of its own. That's just like our ego, our nafs. It just reflects our conditioning, our comfortable certainties. For the real light of the spirit to shine through, that shiny reflective surface, it has to crack.
So what's our first reaction when that crack appears? Denial. Every time. Just like the Quraysh yelling magic. And Al-Ghazali points out something so brilliant here. He says the ego rejects truth, not because it's unclear, but because truth carries a cost the ego is unwilling to pay. Get that? We don't turn away from the truth because it's confusing. We turn away because we know, deep down, that accepting it is going to cost us something. Our comfort, our identity, maybe our whole worldview. Denial is just the ego trying to protect itself.
This leads us right into the third stage, the force that's fueling all that denial. In the Quran, it's called hawa. And this isn't just, wanting something. It's not simple appetite. It's so much deeper. Think of it more like a spiritual gravity. It's this powerful, invisible pull of our old patterns, our emotional inertia, all the habits that just bend our perception away from the truth we just saw.
And listen to this from Ibn Arabi. Hawa is the strongest veil between the servant and his Lord. Wow, that really nails it, doesn't it? The strongest veil. It's not something out there blocking our view. It's our own internal gravity, our own cherished patterns that are keeping us from seeing reality as it is.
Okay, so what happens when those illusions finally do collapse? Well, the Quran uses this incredibly vivid image. It says people will emerge like scattered locusts. Just imagine that. It's chaotic, it's disorienting, it's confusing. And this is so important to get. That feeling of being scattered and lost, that's not a sign you failed. No way. It's often the first, really messy sign that the awakening process has actually started.
And that brings us to the final stage, the inevitable unveiling. This quote from Ayah Qurat al-Hamadani is, "It's piercing. The state you feed secretly becomes your resurrection openly." I mean, just let that sink in. Whatever inner reality we're cultivating, whether we're accepting truth or denying it in private, eventually that becomes our outer reality. The inner self just can't stay hidden forever. It's going to rise.
All right, let's zoom out for a second, because this pattern, this rupture before growth, it isn't just some abstract spiritual concept. It actually seems to be a universal law, like it's hardwired into creation itself.
I mean, check this out. In psychology, they talk about how major change begins with a disorienting dilemma. That's a splitting moon, right? In neuroscience, they found that those aha moments of insight often happen right after the brain goes through a period of destabilization, of chaos. And even in cosmology, for a star to become a brilliant supernova, it first has to collapse in on itself. It's the same pattern everywhere. Rupture comes before growth, breaking comes before illumination.
Okay, so let's bring this all the way back home. Back to you, back to me. Because this isn't just a story from 1,000 years ago. It's a mirror being held up to our own lives right here, right now.
So let's get personal with this. The verse says, "The hour has drawn near." So the question for you is, what in your life is drawing near despite your best efforts to avoid it? What truth, what tough conversation, what inner calling is getting closer and closer?
And where are you turning away? What sign are you dismissing as, oh, it's nothing, or I'm just stressed? You know, the same way they dismiss the miracle as just magic. What's the real cost you feel you're unwilling to pay to just face it?
And what's your personal hawa? What's that gravitational pull for you? It doesn't have to be something super dramatic. It could be the comfort of your daily routine. It could be the distraction of your phone. It could just be that inertia that keeps you orbiting the same familiar, comfortable patterns, even when you know, deep down, they aren't really serving you anymore.
And last one, if you're feeling scattered right now, restless, confused, a bit like those scattered locusts we talked about, could you maybe try to reframe that feeling? What if it's not a sign that you're failing? What if it's a sign that an old illusion is finally starting to crack? Could this discomfort actually be the painful but totally necessary start of a real awakening?
Because, not every fracture is a disaster. Sometimes that little crack in our certainty, that little crack in our ego, that's exactly how the light begins its entry. And that, really, is the whole point. Remember this, the moon split not to destroy, but to reveal. The purpose of this rupture, whether it's happening up in the sky or deep inside your soul, it's not destruction, it's revelation. It's an opening, an invitation, a summons from reality itself that sooner or later none of us can really ignore.